Right, all that boring Six Nations stuff is out the way. We can focus on the real rugby, which is in the top 14 and the Pro de Deux. There are some dynamite matchups in the weeks ahead, so I thought we'd have a little focus on this one. Joe Worsley is with me. He obviously got a vested interest in this one. Coach at Breve, who are you're a second in the log at the minute, but it's pretty congested there in the race for second to sixth anyway.
Yeah, I mean that second spot is hot property because home semi-final means you get a week off before and you get a home game. Home semi-final, crowd to the rafters full. Apparently the atmosphere is off the hook, incredible. It's what you need really to get through that semi-final. So it's rarely teams win semi-finals away like happened last year with Grenoble at Provence. Now I think there's 3 or 4 teams who could still do that. This 5-game block coming up is going to be vital. You'll be able to tell during that block who the pushers and runners are going to be going into the end of the season.
Yeah, and the teams that are in that hunt, like you mentioned, Provence and Béziers are closest to you. Montauban, Soyou, Angoulême, but then Colomiers will not think they're out of the hunt as well. So it's looking that way. It's congested again in the middle, but not. I mean, and someone's going to have to win pretty much every game or a lot of their games in order to break from the pack. Is there any dynamic that changes in the selection of teams at this stage of the season with the, going full bore at home, but maybe making some rotations away? Does that change now that every point matters?
I think it's probably more about the teams you're playing against now. So there's 5 games. If you need to, underneath Grenoble, every team needs to kind of win as many games as they can, which sounds stupid saying it. But you might pick a game in which you think the other team's weak. We can put out, rest some of our best players here, home or away, and then you pick your best side for the other games you think you're going to need your best side to win. So you're now at the stage where home and away is less of a mindset for putting out your best team. It's more about how we're going to get the most points out of this next block of fixtures.
What's really cool about, and we'll talk about this with the top 14 in a minute as well, is just everyone has a motivation to keep on going. Because even up to, you could argue up to 8th position, if they go on a losing run, Oyonnax, then they could get dragged into a relegation spot should teams below them, who are all going to be playing each other. Aurillac are in the 15th spot. Stade Niçois are down and they're gone back to Fédéral 1, where they came from. But it's really, really fun. And it makes me, I don't know about you, Joe, obviously, Wasps, your old team, aren't currently in business at the moment, but it just makes me miss the promotion relegation element in English rugby.
Whatever vision they come up for with British or English club rugby is going to need promotion and relegation. So you got that exciting factor of end of season games. As exciting as the top is the bottom, where people are playing for their lives. Maybe pro rugby here is not quite strong enough to do that yet, but they definitely have to go towards it, and that be the ambition for sure.
Yeah, because I think this is the only. I was just trying to think: is there any other rugby in the world that has promotion and relegation other than French rugby at the elite level? No. Anyway, at the top level, because obviously the lower leagues in England, the grassroots leagues in a lot of places do, but at the top end, this is the only place you get the jeopardy of promotion relegation. And the scenes that we've seen in the playoff matches for the Pro de Deux, the crowds swarming the pitch. I'm sure you've got a vision in your head of the black and white in Breve, all those fans streaming onto the pitch. It's something else.
Yeah, I think that finals period in France is huge. I mean, one of the reasons they play away teams sometimes weaker during the season is because they only have to qualify for their finals and then they go serious. For a long time it's been like that, so there's kind of that hangover with the fans. Is finals time is a different time, and people really start to ramp up their interest and they go crazy at those periods. I remember seeing with Cass when we got to the final of the top 14. It was an incredible semi and final experience. Certainly the level of intensity was higher. That game in Nice, you had 20,000 people from Cass there who were just going crazy. My friends came down to watch. They said one of the best experiences they had was sitting in the crowd amongst the Cass fans, watching us beat Toulouse. Yeah, it was a special day.
Well, with that, let's jump to the top 14 and I'll talk about the jeopardy. And, you look at the Premiership in England where Newcastle are bottom and, not with a lot of hope of improving on that, but there's no consequences for that. Whereas the story that's potentially unfolding is seismic. Currently in the top 14, Van are bottom in 14th. And what's they've got a much lower budget than most of the teams in the top 14, is that right?
Yeah, they got the lowest. Yeah.
Yeah.
By,
So they're probably being so close to the teams above them that they're overperforming at the minute. They are 2 points, as I record this, 2 points behind Perpignan, who are a further 1 point behind, 1 and 2 points behind the two Parisian giants, Racing 92 and Stade Francais. There's a potential story bubbling there.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of rumours going around about things might change immediately at certain places. Obviously, Racing have already had the change. Perpignan, Azamo's got a long contract. He's a good coach. I think he's probably just pushing them as hard as he can. He struggled a little bit more this year scoring points. But still, considering the budget of the team, they're doing all right. Van, they got their budget. They're doing incredibly well to be there. But yeah, Stade Francais, Racing, Stade Francais I think had the biggest wage bill in the top 14 a year or two ago. It's lowered a bit now, but still, it's a team that's not by any stretch hitting the levels it needs to.
But what's mad is they were second last year.
Yeah, this year they've tried to. They realised they needed to score more points. They had a very structured game plan, like we've talked about, with Ireland very structured, England very structured. Sometimes you struggle to score points in those situations, and the way rugby's gone now, you need to be able to score points. We've seen that in the Six Nations again. You need to score points. You need to be able to do that structure side well. But you've got to be able to score points. And to be able to score points, if you're always organised, you're very predictable. So this is where people maybe start to move towards a more French chaotic style rugby where you can change the tempo at the right moment. But they tried to do that this year. They went down a very attacking route. But I think they ended up with a halfway house and not getting it right. And if you go down that route and it doesn't get done right, then you end up making so many mistakes. You can lose the good structure side you had. You go for this attacking philosophy and lose this side. So you lost that. You go for the attacking philosophy, you make loads of errors and you start conceding loads of points. So it's a difficult transition between the two, from structure to a team that's comfortable playing in chaos. Very difficult. And that's what I think they've tried this year. And it's not worked.
A couple of fixtures to point out. So the 29th of March, next weekend as we record this, Van against Perpignan is massive. And then Perpignan on April the 19th play Racing. And then the following week, Racing plays Stade.
Yeah, I mean, they're all going to be able to affect each other's chances. I mean, La Rochelle are not a million miles away, but
equally, and this is what's amazing about the top 14.
Well.
Yeah, this is about the top 14 league. Yeah, you say La Rochelle aren't too far away. They're on 38 points, but equally, that's only 2 points behind the playoff spots.
Yeah.
Lyon on 40.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll see. But yeah, those four teams we mentioned are the favourites. But yeah, that's going to be so exciting watching those games and how Perpignan are very heavily involved against a lot of the teams. They're masters of their destiny, but they've got some difficult away games.
At the other end, at the top of the table, Six Nations is just done, and the first game back, Toulouse against Bordeaux.
Yeah, a lot of Toulouse players got the week off. Less Bordeaux players, I think. But you're tired coming in after the Six Nations.
And honestly, who does that favour most? Because will the players? I mean, we'll get the selection soon enough, but presumably all those guys will be rested?
I think the majority that played a lot of rugby will, yeah. Luku, for example, do you or not? He didn't play a huge amount into the last two games, but then he had a massive 2 games. So there's an argument about what you do there. Either way, but I think Toulouse are definitely resting a lot of their players. They're very good about resting their squad and keeping them fresh. Because they've got such a deep squad and a talented backup and a talented third string, they can afford to do it. Bordeaux got a much better squad these days, but they've still got to be a little bit careful about who they put in or who they leave out.
So, and also what they do at 9, because it's Grau is the understudy for.
This is the big one for me. What are they going to do at 9? He can't play every game. They're in Europe, so most teams, Bordeaux and Toulouse, I mean, there's probably. It'd be interesting what the French teams do, but just take Bordeaux and Toulouse. If they both play to their abilities, they're going to get to that final. Is it a semi? I can't remember if they're going to hit each other in the semi or not.
If they're top two, they'll avoid each other.
Yeah, so they could potentially go all the way, and so all the other teams will have some time off, unless like La Rochelle get through as well, or I mean Toulon could possibly get through as well. So that's going to have a huge impact on the results, because if you're not, if Castres still involved, for example, do they want to go for that European Cup, because they're fighting to get in the top 6? They're doing really well. So they play 2 games in the top 14, and there's 2 weeks of the European games. If you win both of those, then there's another two league games, and then you got a semi-final, couple of league game or 2, and then a final. It's kind of it's a constant run at that point. And Toulouse are facing this with the squad they got. They should be doing it. Bordeaux, maybe you could say the same thing. So they're, for the first time in life, Bordeaux are going to be contesting 2 competitions. It's incredibly fatiguing. I did it with Wasps as a player, and all you can do is just get fit, get back on the pitch, and recover. Feels like you can hardly do proper training. It's really hard for the squad to go through, and you have to rely on the deeper squad. So this is where Toulouse's strength and depth would be a benefit. But at 9, I think it's an 18-year-old they've been playing as a third choice at the moment.
They've got that Japanese guy Saito as well.
Yeah, but he's not played. He's been put behind. I think the young French guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, who's 18. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there, like Capowazzo, or maybe we'll step in, because they can't bring in a medical joker like other teams would, because the rugby they play is so particular. It takes some hell of a amazing international quality 9 to bring in and adapt to that quickly.
That's really interesting. So the top 3 are kind of away on their own. There's a 10-point cushion between Toulon in 3rd and Bayonne, who are doing really well in 4th, but then it's a bun fight. Bayonne, Castres, Lyon, Clermont, Montpellier, Pau, La Rochelle. So that's 7 teams hunting 3 spots.
Yeah, when you look at the fixtures, I would have definitely put Bayonne. Camille Lopez has got an injury for a while. He is the guy who makes them tick in a way, because the way they play, you need a 10 like him. The second place 10 is a structured, doesn't play chaos too well. He's probably got better being at Bayonne this year, Segon. He was at Stade Francais before. An amazing kicker, incredible kicker. Can strangle opposition with the quality of his kicking, and very English kind of 10. It's very good at that kind of role. But at Bayonne, they mix it up. So when he comes in, they're probably a bit more structured, but sometimes they need that because they can get loose. But Cammy's the man, like in terms of how he plays. I mean, tackling aside, we saw the Matador thing he did towards the end of last year, but he's an incredible player, so that's going to mess them up a little bit, not having him available all the time. But then behind that, Castres, I think, got confidence. They're looking good, but it's tough to say. Lyon's got a good squad. Montpellier, I don't think will do it. I think they're slightly dropping off.
Clermont were stronger and have just
faded
again, a little bit.
They're struggling as well. There's changes afoot there in their coaching setup and their performance department, so things aren't that comfortable there either. So when you're changing staff, quite a lot of staff, normally means things aren't tip top.
And Section Palois, with their young French guys back in the mix, they could bust open. A word for Joe Simmons, who's the top point scorer in the top 14.
Yeah, it's pretty epic, isn't it? He's not missed many games. He's kicked really well. It's a pretty good thing to put on your CV.
Yeah, and can Rog rescue the La Rochelle situation? That's an interesting, the way they would have expected to have been much closer to the top 3.
Yeah, that squad they got is still not staggering, but surprising they're not with that group of 3 players, 3 clubs, at the top there.
It's going to be a fascinating one to watch. We'll be back on the channel reacting to the games as they happen, but if you haven't already, hit that little subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, tell us what you reckon, and we'll see you on the next one.